All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about artificial intelligence. It's probably one of the biggest, most disruptive technologies any of us have ever seen. And it's moving so fast. It's already changing everything, raising these huge questions about what's next. So, let's get into both sides of it. The incredible promise, and, of course, the very real peril.
And really, this quote from Vanity Fair just nails the feeling right now, doesn't it? It feels like an arms race. Ever since tools like ChatGPT exploded onto the scene, there's been this frantic, high-stakes competition. And this is way more than just who can build a better chatbot. This is a race to create the next form of intelligence itself.
And the crazy thing is, these breakthroughs are happening all over the place in totally different fields. I mean, on one hand, you have something like DeepMind's AlphaFold. It basically solved a problem that has stumped scientists for decades, predicting the shape of millions of proteins. That's like having a blueprint for life itself, and it could completely change how we discover new medicines. And then, on the other hand, you've got these large language models that are mastering human language. They can write poetry, they can write code. Two completely different worlds, the building blocks of life and the building blocks of communication. And AI is revolutionizing both at the same time. It's wild.
Okay, so first up, let's dive into the promise. Because at the end of the day, AI is this incredible new toolkit. And the amazing part, it's getting easier and easier for all of us to use.
Just think about this for a second. Not too long ago, if you wanted to build a smart chatbot for your website, you'd need a whole team of developers, right? A lot of time, a lot of money. Now, you can do it yourself. In minutes, you just point the AI to your documents or your website, set a few simple rules, and bam, it's booking meetings for you. That's a huge deal. That's what people mean when they say AI is democratizing power. It's putting these incredibly advanced capabilities into everybody's hands.
And it's not just for business. Oh no. The applications are everywhere, and they're touching these really fundamental parts of our lives. I mean, just look at this. On the left, an AI is literally counting individual heads of wheat in a field. Why? To get a super accurate prediction of our food supply. And on the right, an AI is fine-tuning a solar power grid to make sure renewable energy is stable and reliable. So we're talking about our food and our power. AI is being woven right into the systems we all depend on to survive.
And the level of precision we're seeing is it's mind-blowing. Look at this number. Over 97% accuracy in spotting a specific crop disease. Just let that sink in for a moment. For a farmer, that level of early detection can be the difference between saving an entire harvest and losing it, all because an algorithm can spot something the human eye might completely miss.
Okay, so that's the good news. It's exciting, right? But, and this is a big but, with all of this power comes some serious risk. We have to talk about the other side of the coin, the unforeseen consequences, the peril.
And this brings us to a really tough question. All this efficiency, all this optimization, it sounds great on paper, but you have to stop and ask, is it fair? Is this progress actually for everyone?
See, here's the catch. AI learns from us. It learns from the data we feed it. And if that data already has our own human biases baked into it, well, the AI doesn't just learn those biases, it can actually amplify them. This is a really powerful and frankly disturbing example from a ProPublica investigation. They looked at a risk assessment tool used in the justice system. It turns out the algorithm was almost twice as likely to wrongly label African American individuals as higher risk compared to others. These aren't just numbers on a chart. These are automated decisions that have a profound and deeply unfair impact on people's lives.
And then there's this other kind of strange problem. It's a paradox, really. This technology can solve one of the greatest challenges in modern biology, but then it can turn around and trip up on a basic high school physics problem.
Here's a perfect example. Someone gave ChatGPT a pretty standard mechanics problem. And look, it was so close. It knew the right formulas to use, it laid out the process perfectly, and then it just fumbled the final calculation. The process was right, but the answer was wrong. It's a huge reminder that you cannot blindly trust what these things spit out. So this tendency, where the AI sounds incredibly confident but is just completely making stuff up, researchers have a great name for it. They call it a hallucination. And, you know, if an AI hallucinates a funny limerick, who cares? But it's a whole different story when a lawyer uses one of these tools for legal research and it invents fake court cases that don't exist. And yes,
that has actually happened, with disastrous consequences for their careers. So you've got this incredible promise on one side, and these really serious dangers on the other. What do we do? How do we as a society even begin to manage this? Well, let's look at how people are trying to get their arms around it.
Well, it turns out there's no single playbook. Different places are trying different things. You've got the old school model like Bell Labs, where a corporation just funds long-term fundamental research. Then you have the approach of Google DeepMind, which is laser-focused on a huge mission to solve intelligence and has nearly unlimited resources to throw at it. And then you see governments getting involved, like Serbia creating a national AI institute, or Austria building these public-private partnerships. It's a real mix of strategies all happening at once.
But here's the thing, no matter which model you pick, they all run on the same fuel. They all need a massive digital infrastructure to work. This stuff isn't just happening magically in the cloud. We're talking about real, physical, enormous data centers packed with specialized computer chips like GPUs, all connected by incredibly high-speed networks. You simply can't have an AI revolution without all that plumbing.
And this brings us to maybe the biggest bottleneck of all, data. You can have the smartest algorithm in the world, but if you don't have good data to feed it, it's totally useless. Just look at this. When researchers looked at data for key goals in 13 countries in Southeast Europe, they found that for almost 40% of the important indicators, the data just doesn't exist. It's not even being collected. So even when we try to solve our biggest problems, we're often flying blind.
So where does all this leave us? How are we supposed to navigate this massive wave that's coming? Maybe we need to step back and think a little more deeply about what all this really means.
You know, the ancient Greeks had this really powerful concept called techne. And it doesn't just mean technology or the simple technique of how to do something. It's deeper. It's about a true understanding of how and why you're making something. It's craft, but a craft based on knowledge and reason. And it makes me wonder, as we all start using these incredibly powerful AI tools, are we just learning the technique, how to click the right buttons? Or are we developing the techne, the real wisdom we need to guide this technology in the right direction?
And I guess that's the final thought to leave you with. We are building machines that learn. They learn from our language, our history, our art, and our flaws. So maybe the most important thing they do isn't answering our questions, but holding up a mirror. In teaching these machines how to think, what are they really teaching us about ourselves?